Who are the most balanced UFC fighters in every UFC weight class? Now, a balanced fighter is somebody that can do everything and just aren't really one-dimensional. So, for example, people that can wrestle, people that can strike, people that can basically do everything. So if there was to, for example, if there was to face a wrestler, they wouldn't have a problem. Basically, they're not one-dimensional. And we're going to go in now with heavyweight, and I'm going to go with someone that fought this weekend. I'm going to go Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is very, very balanced. They say British people can't wrestle, but Tom Aspinall kind of defies that. He's a fantastic grappler and wrestler. I mean, he submitted Volkov in one round. He submitted Andrei Arlovsky. He's got a lot of submissions along his record. He's got 100% takedown defense and 100% takedown offense, which is incredible. He's never been taken down, and every takedown he's attempted, he's got. So you can't call him, you can't just say he's not a great wrestler when, that's the stat he's got. He's been doing jiu-jitsu and grappling since he's like 8 years old. He's one of the best grapplers in heavyweight right now. And the thing that makes him balanced is he's also got really quick striking. In my opinion, he's got some of the fastest hands in heavyweight history. He's extremely quick. He's powerful as well. The way he folded Tabora. He's got a lot of knockouts on his resume. I believe every single fight in the UFC ended in a finish. Great kicks as well. He's very, very, very skilled. The thing that made Aspinall dangerous going into the Tabora fight is I genuinely believe he could have, if he wanted to grapple with Tabora, he could have grappled. If he wanted to strike with Tabora, he could have struck. I feel like this is like something that Aspinall has. When he's going to be facing people like Pavlovich and Gon, he has a choice whether he wants to grapple with them and use his jiu-jitsu experience, or if he wants to strike with them. He's so talented. One of the most, probably the most well-rounded heavyweight right now. I know people are going to say John Jones. John Jones's ground game, John Jones's on the feet isn't, in my opinion, as good as Aspinall. I believe if you put Aspinall versus Jones or Pavlovich versus Jones in a pure striking matchup, I think they both come out on top. I think what makes John Jones dangerous is the way he can just take people down and use his insane grappling experience and just kind of beats them up on the floor. John Jones is never like a one-punch knockout kind of guy, but he's obviously very skilled on the feet. But if we're talking just pure well-rounded, I'm going to go Tom Aspinall. Then we move on light heavyweight. I'm going to say Magomed Ankalaev. Well, obviously he can wrestle. He's a Russian with the last name Ankalaev and the first name Magomed. So, where everyone comes from Russia, they can at least grapple. One of the best wrestlers in light heavyweight. Out-grappled Jan Blachowicz, which is kind of why he made it get to a draw. He's also a striker as well. He's got multiple KOs on his record. If you look at his UFC record, a lot of them are ending in KO. And he has the choice. He can strike with you or grapple with you, Ankalaev. That's what makes him so good. Aesthetically, he's probably not one of the best to watch because, he's kind of the lay and pray type of grappler. But I'm sure he's going to get a lot more finishes in his career. Like I said, he's not just one-dimensional. He's not a one-dimensional wrestler. If you have to strike with him, he can strike. If you have to grapple with him, he can grapple. It doesn't matter where the fight goes. He can do everything. So that's why I've gone for Ankalaev. Jan Blachowicz, he's got really good kicks, really good striking, but his wrestling could be improved. Yuri Prohaska, again, wrestling could be improved. I think Magomed Ankalaev is better than Jamal Hill in most places. Maybe not striking, but I feel like he's a very balanced fighter. It doesn't really matter where the fight goes. He will, he will excel. I can't speak. He will excel. It's going to be hard to take him down. It's going to be hard to outstrike him. He can genuinely KO people. Yeah, I'm going to go Magomed Ankalaev for light heavyweight. Moving on to middleweight, I'm going to go Robert Whittaker. Now, I don't know if it's going to be saying, what about Dricus du Plessis? Dricus beat him. I don't think we've seen enough from Dricus du Plessis. You got to remember, styles make fights. Dricus du Plessis is a very sloppy striker, but because styles make fights, he was able to beat Whittaker. Whittaker's obviously one of the best strikers in the division. There's no denying he is one of the best strikers in the middleweight division. Great grappling defense as well. He's never really been controlled on the floor because of how good his grappling defense is. There's not much heavy grapples at middleweight, but people that have tried him, Brunson, Vettori at some points, he's shown that he's got good grappling defense. And he's also got decent grappling offense, obviously. He managed to take Adesanya down a couple of times. He did take Vettori down. He's got very good grappling offenses, Whittaker. But like I said, it's mainly against strikers. But I wouldn't say he's a striker or a grappler. I'd say he's more of a striker, but he's balanced. And he's cleared out the middleweight division besides Izzy Andrikas, beating Cannonier, Brunson, Till, Vittori, what's his name? The Yoel Romero. He's a very balanced fighter. It's going to be hard coming in. That's what made Whittaker so dangerous. You want to stay on the feet with him, he's probably going to pick you apart. You want to grapple with him, well done taking him down. Maybe this is because there's not, like I said, there's not much heavy grapplers. Like, at light heavyweight we've got Ankalaev. At welterweight, we've got the wrestlers lightweight, Khabib. We've got Hamzat and Usman at welterweight. But in middleweight there's not much heavy grapplers. But I've seen that Robert Whittaker's very, very balanced. He's not like whenever he faces a grappler or someone who can somewhat grapple, he gets dominated. He does pretty good against all styles. So I'm going to go Robert Whittaker for middleweight. He's shown more than Dricus du Plessis. Adesanya's purely a striker, so I'm going to, Robert Whittaker, very balanced. Then I'm going to go Leon Edwards for welterweight. Well, he's got clean striking, knocked out Usman, dominated him in the second fight on the feet. One of the best strikers, if not the best striker at welterweight right now. He's got fantastic takedown defense. In that second fight, he really showed his takedown defense. Even against Diaz a few times, he has got great takedown defense. If you're Colby Covington, it's probably going to be hard. It's going to be hard to take Edwards down. He's got really good clinch work. Managed to trip Usman a few times. Likes to escape takedowns from the clinch. Can even trip you from the clinch. He's got very, very good clinch work, and he actually took Usman down. I believe he was the first person to take Kamaru Usman down in the UFC. So he's very balanced. People have this misconception that whenever he's going to fight Colby Covington, he's going to get dominated because Leon can't wrestle. He can wrestle. He's a better striker than wrestler, obviously. If he wants to choose where the fight goes, he's going to choose to strike with you. But he's balanced. He doesn't mind, going against a wrestler. It's not like he's over when he faces a wrestler. This isn't Darren Till. He's got great takedown defense. He can even trip you if he wants. Got decent takedown offense. He's a very balanced fighter, is Leon Edwards. Very, very balanced fighter. It's not going to be easy to just... he's faced a lot of grapplers as well. Who's that guy he fought? Gunnar Nelson. He's beaten Gunnar Nelson. He's beaten Diaz. Beaten Barberena, but that was ages ago. But point is, Leon Edwards, he can grapple, he can strike. Obviously more of a striker, but a lot of strikers, they tend to kind of crumble when they face a grappler, if you know what I mean. Whenever they start facing grapplers, they tend to crumble. Leon Edwards, he's faced countless grapplers, obviously faced Kamaru Usman twice. Yes, Usman did have a lot of times where he was beating him with the grappling, especially in the second fight, but Leon Edwards in the third fight showed that he can grapple. He's a decent fighter, he's very well rounded. So then we move on to lightweight. I'm going to go Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev's very, very well rounded. He's a B-tier striker, so he's definitely he should not be underestimated for his striking. I mean, he caught Volkanovski a few times, and Volkanovski's one of the best strikers in the UFC. He dropped Charles Oliveira. He's got very, very good striking in his Khabib. Not Khabib, but I'm talking about Khabib. He's got very, very good striking in his Islam. He can stay on the feet, he can mix things up. Obviously, he's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC right now. He's got S-tier wrestling, S-tier submissions, and he stood with Volkanovski. Some people might be saying, what about Charles Oliveira? First of all, they've fought before, and Islam won everywhere the fight went. On the feet, he won, and on the floor, he won. When it comes to wrestling, Oliveira doesn't really have great wrestling. The reason Oliveira always finds submissions is because he tends to kind of beat them down with their striking until they fall and then jump on a submission from there. Whereas Islam Makhachev will strike with you and then he'll go for a takedown. But I think the submissions go to... I mean, it could go either way, but if we're talking about pure balanced, I'm going to go Islam Makhachev. He can do pretty much everything. You want to put a wrestler against Islam Makhachev? Have fun. Islam can also wrestle and he can also strike. You want to put a striker against Islam Makhachev, he'll just take you down and dominate you. I think we need to see Islam against more lightweight contenders. At lightweight, we've literally only seen him face Dan Hooker, Bobby Green and Charles Oliveira. So it'll be good if we saw him face more competition, but he can, the fact that he stood with Volkanovski, most people thought the second, when he's standing with Volkanovski, he'd get battered. It just didn't happen. Obviously, Volkanovski was winning on the feet, but that's because Volkanovski is one of the best strikers in the UFC. When it came to the ground game, Islam definitely won that. Islam's one of the best in the UFC. Pound for pound, top 5. He can grapple, he can strike. More of a grappler, but he's not going to be afraid to strike. Then we move into featherweight, and in my opinion, the most well-rounded fighter in the UFC, I'm going to go Alexander Volkanovski. It's going to be hard to not say that Volkanovski's the most well-rounded at featherweight. He's grappled with people like Islam Makhachev and Brian Ortega. He's struck with people like Max Holloway, Korean Zombie, Yair Rodriguez. He's beaten all of them. I genuinely, maybe this is crazy, but I genuinely feel like you put Volkanovski in there with Yair Rodriguez and someone else like Calvin Kattar maybe. You put Volkanovski in there with them, and you say to Volkanovski, you're not allowed to strike, you can only grapple and ground and pound. I still think Volkanovski would win. He's becoming a really, really good wrestler. Out of all the people that Islam Makhachev has grappled with, Volkanovski's shown the best kind of, how do I say it? He's shown the best defense. He's escaped a lot of submissions. He's defended quite a lot of takedowns as Volkanovski's even, tripped tripped Islam a few times. Volkanovski's got extremely underrated wrestling. I mean, he kind of dominated Yair Rodriguez in their fight just purely by grappling. And obviously he's one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the UFC. Put a pace, dominated Max Holloway, dominated Korean Zombie, caught Yair Rodriguez, caught Brian Ortega multiple times and dominated him. He's one of the best in the world, pound for pound #1. He can do everything. Like, it's not like you could be the best at BJJ or the best wrestler or the best striker, and Volkanovski will find a way to win because he can do everything. He's the most balanced fighter in the UFC, in my opinion. He could just do everything. But yeah, I'm going to go Volkanovski. Then we move on Bantamweight. For Bantamweight, I'm going to go Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, you can tell by his last name that he can wrestle because his last name is Nurmagomedov. He's got a lot of submissions on his record. He's an absolute submission specialist. But we saw in his last fight that he's also got knockout power as well. He's out of all the Dagestani crew, I'd say he's probably the biggest threat on the feet. I mean, people were saying that he was able to stand with Sandhagen. I know that fight's off now, but it's going to be hard to beat Umar Nurmagomedov. I genuinely think he's going to be, in the next year, top 5 bantamweight. He's undefeated, KO power, he's willing to strike. He's not just one of these wrestlers that are going to strike just to kill time and then go for a takedown. He enjoys striking and he can strike. He's got really good KO power. He's probably one of the best strikers at bantamweight, and obviously he knows how to submit you and take you down immediately. Yeah, Umar Nurmagomedov, very balanced. I'd probably actually pick him over Sandhagen to win, purely because obviously on the feet it could genuinely be very competitive. I'd probably give the edge to Sandhagen because we've seen more from him, but it could be very competitive on the feet. But then when it came to the ground game, Umar Nurmagomedov would put levels on this guy. I genuinely think Umar has what it takes to become champion one day. He can strike, he can grapple, and he can do everything. He can submit you. He's one of the best. These Dagestani Russians, honestly, I mean, we've seen it with Islam and Magomed. They know what they're doing, man. He can strike. He's got very underrated striking. He can do everything. Then we move on to flyweight. I'm going to go Alexandre Pantoja. He's got great Brazilian jiu-jitsu and ground game. I mean, that's kind of why he beat Moreno. People might be wondering, why have you not put Moreno in this list? Well, first of all, I'd say Moreno's got better striking than Pantoja, but when it comes to grappling, it's a completely different game. 100% Pantoja wins this grappling. And I also think he's got more effective striking than Brandon Moreno. He's got powerful hands, he's very durable, and he's got great BJJ and ground game. He managed to take, what's his name? Brandon Moreno down a few times. But yeah, he's the best in the world at flyweight right now. He's the best in the world. Powerful hands, ground game. I mean, we saw it against Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno struck with him, and Moreno's meant to be one of the best strikers at flyweight. I mean, he is. And Pantoja looked like he was way more effective. Don't get me wrong, I'd say Moreno was definitely outstriking Pantoja, but Pantoja's shots were doing more damage and they were more effective. So on the feet, he was pretty competitive. And then when it came to ground game, I mean, that's why he won the fight. He dominated. More submission attempts, more control time. Call it boring, but he really mixed it up in that Moreno fight. We saw a perfect mix of grappling and striking. Yeah, Pantoja is, my opinion, the most well-rounded flyweight in the world. If you agree with this list, or you think maybe I was out of pocket for a few of them, please let me know. But yeah, this is my list of the most balanced fighters in every weight class.